Hello, microphone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Talk Baseball, episode 4. This week we're going to be talking about third bases. As you can see, I'm by myself again. Unfortunately, Carlos and Javi couldn't make it. Next week, I'm going to try to get a special guest. We'll see if that actually happens, but yeah, I'm going to try my best. So third base is unfortunately very weak this year. You got some real stars in the top, maybe like 5 picks, 5 or 6 picks, and after that, it gets really tough. So you don't want to be stuck with one of those, you know, below average type of players at third base as your starting third baseman, maybe possibly as a corner infielder. But if you are targeting your third baseman, you definitely want to try to get one early in the game, either first round or second round. After those guys are gone, it's pretty brutal towards the end. So getting right into it, at his current ADP of 3, we have Jose Ramirez. Now, Jose Ramirez is everything that you want in a batter, except for a standout at batting average. He's good in batting average. He's not going to hurt you, but he's also not really going to help you too much. Last season, he hit 280, good pop, very good speed. He had 29 home runs with 20 stolen bases. So you can look for that again with Jose Ramirez. Going into his age 30 season, he's still in the prime of his career. He's not really on the wrong side of 30 yet. So I don't really see any signs of slowing down. Expected batting average has been pretty consistent in the last 5 seasons, except for 2021, which was just kind of out of control season for majority of the league. He's 81 percentile on sprint speed, so you can definitely count on him for some good stolen base numbers. Hopefully around 25, and the bigger bases are definitely going to help with that. So it's possibly even going to go higher than that. Um, 95 percentile in max exit velocity. So Jose Ramirez hits the ball exceptionally hard. So you can definitely count on a lot of home runs, and with his speed, you can count on a lot of doubles and a few triples. So points leagues, categories leagues, he is definitely a consensus top 3 pick. In my opinion, if I had the number 1 overall pick, I'm actually going Jose Ramirez number 1. Um, like I said earlier, third base, it's just not a very deep position. So I'm trying to go out there and get third base as early as I can. So if I have, a top 3 pick, I'm definitely going after Jose Ramirez, even before Aaron Judge, even before, whoever else you can think of. I just think that because there's not much depth at third base, you're getting power, you're getting speed, you're getting a decent batting average and a decent lineup. So you're going to get a lot of good counting stats. Last year, he had 90 runs and 126 RBI. 126 is a freaking lot, man. But I don't think we're actually going to see that many from him. I think that he was kind of just overperforming in that a little bit. So look for him to at least get to 80 runs with about 120 RBI, I'd say. Maybe a little bit less than that, but you can count on the power. You can count on the speed. He pulls everything with an elite launch angle. So home runs should be plentiful. Yeah, that's about it for Jose Ramirez. And number 2, this one was a little tough because there's two third basemen that are kind of going towards the beginning of the second round. That's Manny Machado and Rafael Devers. Between those two, I actually prefer Manny Machado, so he's at number 2 for me. Um, Basically, he's a lock for 100 runs, 100 RBI, close to 30 home runs with a decent batting average. So he's actually very similar to Jose Ramirez. The only thing really Jose Ramirez has over Manny Machado is the speed. Now, Machado's not, a zero at speed. He'll still get about 10 stolen bases. Possibly with the bigger bases, we might see a little bit more than that. 12 to 15 isn't out of the realm of possibilities. He did overperform last season, which raised his batting average. He actually ended the season with 298 batting average. So, but he's kind of overperformed every year in his major league career. So I think that's pretty typical for him to be close to a 300 batting average. His expected BA was at 264. So he did overperform a little bit, but I still think that you can count on him. He's 30 years old, same as Jose Ramirez. So I don't see any signs of slowing down. And with the with Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back into the Padres lineup, and the Padres already kind of have like a stacked lineup as it is, you can definitely count on him to have a lot of runs and a lot of RBI. Last year, 100 runs, 102 RBI. So you're going to definitely see something similar to that. Strikes out a lot, 133 strikeouts and 644 plate appearances, but that's okay because you're getting, the home runs and a few stolen bases to go along with it. He should definitely be a good bet for at least a 290 batting average with some good counting stats. Moving on to number 3, that's where I actually have Rafael Devers. Now, Rafael Devers, I feel like in the next couple of years, he's going to take a pretty big step forward. He's in a decent lineup with the Red Sox. They're not what they were back in 2018, but they are making moves here and there. Tristan Casas is supposed to be up this season, and he has amazing potential. He's supposed to be their starting first baseman. Because Bobby Dahlbeck just isn't living up to the hype as what everyone thought he was going to be. So they don't have the best lineup, but counting stats are going to be lower than they should be for him. But he's a really good source of batting average. He hit 295 last season with an expected BA of 282. So very similar numbers there. On base percentage is great, 358. Whenever you see above 350, these guys are getting on base a lot. OPS at an 879. That's amazing. You like to see something close to 900. So love to see that. Good source of batting average and home runs. Not a lot of speed. Last season he had 3. You want to increase each player by a couple, because of the bigger bases, 3 inches on each side of the base. So I'm being generous in saying that he'll probably get around 5 or 6 stolen bases. And he's not really known for speed anyway, but he does hit the ball exceptionally hard. So, trust the batting average and trust the power. That's it for Rafael Devers. He's currently going at ADP 22. Next, I have Austin Riley. Austin Riley is another one that in the next couple of years, I really feel like he's just going to make a step forward. He's only 25 years old, but he's a big dude, 6'3", 240 pounds, hits in the middle of the Braves order. Then the Braves have just a amazing lineup. Matt Olson hitting right before him or right after him. Lineups aren't really up yet, but we'll see where they're going to hit in the order. But now that Dansby Swanson's gone, it kind of leaves a hole at the number 2 spot. We're thinking Ozzy Albies is probably going to be back in the number 2 spot since he missed the majority of the season last year. So that means that Riley is probably going to hit either 3 or 4. So that's good chances of runs and RBI for him. He had 38 home runs last season with 90 runs and 93 RBI. I don't really see any reason to think that he would go any lower than that. So I'm expecting another 35 plus home runs, at least 80 runs and probably 100 RBI, which is really great. Hey, what's up, Jasper? Nice to see you on here, man. Hopefully you're prepping for our season coming up. We're starting to do a keeper league. Never done a keeper league before. So this is actually going to be our draft into the keeper league. So don't have any keepers yet, but we definitely have to keep in mind, as the draft goes, are you in win now mode or are you in potentially winning, next season or the season after, since we're going to be able to keep some of our players. So it's going good, man. I'm glad you're on listening to the show right now. Looks like we have 2 people watching right now. So Jasper or whoever else is watching, if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, I'm by myself again. But hopefully that'll be remedied soon. So Austin Riley, honestly, I think this guy's a stud. His expected batting average in the last 2 seasons was right in line with what he actually did. So we can expect around a 280 batting average with elite power in an awesome lineup. Hits the ball exceptionally hard. On average, he hits the ball at 92.5 miles per hour. Anything above 90 is just amazing. So 100 runs, 100 RBI is probably what we're going to see from him. And honestly, I don't think we've seen Riley's true ceiling yet. I think that, 25 years old, I always talk about man strength coming around 27, 28 years old. So this guy in a keeper league, dynasty league, like I was just talking about, that honestly, this is one of the guys that I'm targeting. But because of our draft, we have an auction draft. It's going to be, he's going to go for a lot of money. So we'll see. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that when we actually see the true potential of Austin Riley, I think that he could potentially be an MVP candidate. And that's the Braves for you, right? They first Freddie Freeman, and then now with Austin Riley, lineup's looking good. Jasper says my plan is a 3 to 5 year prospects. That's so you're going for long term, not really winning in the beginning. But you know what? That's okay, because we plan on doing this every season for years to come. So glad to know your strategy, so that way I can kind of plan around that also. I'm actually every season I'm always making the playoffs. Most of the time I'm either in the championship or I'm in the at least in the the semifinals. So I'm always trying to win, man. I'm gonna do my draft the best way I can to win this year, but I'm also gonna be planning for future seasons. So I'm going for guys that are going to have high production this year, and we also have I want to say it's 3 NA spots, so you can draft your 3 prospects and keep them in your lineup. It's or keep them in the NA spot, so that way it doesn't take up your roster spots. So we'll see how it all plays out. This is our first season doing the draft as a keeper league, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. All right, so that was Austin Riley, currently at ADP 23, and Rafael Devers at 22. So actually, they're going back to back. Either one of those guys, I really think that you can't go wrong with one of those as your starting third baseman. All right, number 5. I actually have number 5. I have Nolan Arenado. Now, Nolan Arenado is a little bit lower on the general consensus on the ADP than what my personal ranking is. I know he's 31 years old, but honestly, man, this guy's track record, it's just amazing. The first season that he was with the Cardinals after he got traded from the Rockies, he was a little rocky, no pun intended, actually a little pun intended. But I can really see Arenado just kind of continuing what he's been doing for the past few seasons. He overperformed his expected stats his whole career. I don't see any reason to think otherwise for 2023. Now, I was very skeptical when he first joined the Cardinals because of the Colorado effect. I really felt like his batting average was going to go down. Home runs were going to go down. But last year he hit 30 home runs, underperformed a little bit in the runs category, but I feel like the Cardinals have a really good lineup. Had 73 runs that last year. I'm actually projecting about 85 for next season. So hopefully we can see a little bit more production from him, but the RBIs were out of control. He had 103. So he's a pretty safe lock for at least 100 RBI. Walks a pretty good amount, 52 walks last year, 72 strikeouts. This guy does not strike out a lot. 11.6 K percentage is just amazing. Always look for those guys, especially in points leagues that don't strike out that much. You want to be under about 15%. The lower, the better. He doesn't really hit the ball exceptionally hard. His average exit velocity was 88.7, but even though he doesn't hit the ball that hard, he pulls the ball extremely to the left side. And, the venue that he plays in, that's actually how he was able to get his 30 home runs last year. In Colorado, he could really hit it to anywhere in the field. And a lot of times it would just go out, which is, what Colorado is known for. But because he pulls it so hard to the left field, and his launch angle is at a 21.7 degree. I believe MLB average is about like 17. So he puts the ball in the air a lot, which is probably why his expected batting average is kind of low, because he puts it on the ball in the air so often. But I'm okay with that, because that just means more runs. And, the more times you put the ball in the air, there's more RBI chances as well. So if, runners on second base have an opportunity to get over to third, you're always trying to bump the runner over. And if there's a runner on third, then, more than likely it's not going to affect his batting average, because he's going to get that sacrifice fly. So next up, I'm a little bit lower on this next guy that's coming up. So in ADP, we have Bobby Witt Jr. at 21. So Austin Riley is at 24. Nolan Arenado is at 31. I actually have Bobby Witt behind both of those guys. And I don't really think that he's going to be any better or worse than he was last season. Counting stats were good. 20 home runs, 82 runs, 80 RBI. But the real standout right here is the stolen bases at 30. I don't think that stolen bases are going to be as scarce as they were in previous seasons, because of the size of the base, going from the 15 inches to the 18 inches. There's a little bit less distance between first and second base, second and third base. So a lot of these guys are going to be stealing a lot more often, or maybe not stealing often, but are going to be caught less often. So we're going to see, stolen bases from guys that you don't really think that they would come from. Or, the guys that were getting 10 to 12 last year are probably going to be closer to 15 to 20. So I don't really see stolen bases as a category where I'm like desperately trying to find it like I have been in previous years. What's up, Meet the Mets? Thanks for joining in on the show. His expected batting average and expected slug were right in line with his actual numbers. So 254 batting average and 428 slug. You kind of want to see a little bit more than that, but this guy's only 22 years old. Dynasty league and keeper league, like we're talking about, this is definitely one that you want to target. It's going to be a little hard because he's going so high in drafts right now at number 4 overall in the third base position. So let's see what Jasper says. I think bigger bases are going to be injury hazards. Okay. Haven't heard that one before. Let us know why you think that, Jasper. One of the reasons why they expanded the bases is because they want to decrease injuries. So the first baseman is going to be a little bit farther away from the base runner when he's running from home to first. So these guys are probably not going to get stepped on as often as they were in the past. Or maybe even Max Muncy, the way that he ended his 2021 season, where he hyperextended his elbow because he reached out for a ball that was thrown from third, and the runner kind of just ran into him and jammed his elbow. So I don't know. I personally think that stolen bases are going to be increasing. I think that the injuries are going to be less, at least at first base. Who knows what's going to happen at second, since there's going to be a lot more stolen bases. Maybe what Jasper's thinking is more hamstring injuries, more leg injuries in general, more chances to get stepped on, at second base, with throws and whatever it may be. So Fantasy Pros has Bobby Witt at the number 3 third base off the board. I guess I'm not as optimistic as some of the experts out there, but I don't really see how Witt's 722 OPS outranks Riley, Devers, and Arenado. 30 stolen bases is worth a lot in roto or categories leagues, but with the size increase of the bases, stolen bases are going to be a lot easier to come by this season. So I don't really see the hype about Bobby Witt when it comes to stolen bases. If he can get that strikeout number down, he's at a 21.4% strikeout rate. Let's get that below 20. But there's lots of room for improvement. He's a young kid with lots of potential. So it's exciting to see what he's going to do in the future. Royals don't really have the best lineup in baseball, so runs and RBI are going to be a little harder to come by for Bobby Witt. All right, going on to number 7. I believe I am right in consensus with this one. Let's see. So Fantasy Pros has Alex Bregman at the number 7, third baseman overall. I am right in line right there. I have him at the number 7 also. Alex Bregman has been in the league for so long, and he's been on an amazing team that everyone kind of thinks he's a little bit older than he is. I thought he was older than he actually is. I was thinking this guy was 30, heading into his age 31 season. He's actually going into his age 28 season. So I really think that Alex Bregman's in the prime of his career. I don't think that he's going to have any issues with underperforming or hitting in the middle of the Astros lineup. There's going to be room for lots of counting stats. He's another guy that kind of hits similar to Arenado, where they don't really hit the ball that hard, but because they pull the ball so much that they get a decent amount of home runs. Last year, Alex Bregman had 23 home runs, 93 runs scored, and 93 RBI. Those are amazing counting stats. So you can definitely look for Alex Bregman to replicate his 2022 season. This guy doesn't really get injured too often. He walks a lot. He actually walks a lot more than he strikes out. He had 87 walks with only 77 strikeouts last season. That's the guy that you want to kind of target in a points league versus a categories league, because he only hits 20 to 25 home runs. Really good counting stats. You could probably count on at least 90-90, but no stolen bases. So categories leagues, he's going to help you in the runs and runs and RBI categories, but he's more of like a 2-category guy. Can't really count on him too much anywhere else. He hit 259 last year with an expected of 257. OPS was good at 820. That's another reason why I think Bobby Witt is a little bit lower on my rankings, just because at the end of last season, Bobby Witt's OPS was at 722. And if this guy's number 4 overall at the third base position at a 722 OPS, I mean, I really don't understand where that's coming from. So moving on, number 8 is actually my bounce back candidate, and I am exceptionally high on this guy, more than I think anyone else is. I just think that Max Muncy is going to be back to his old normal self. Now, currently, Max Muncy is way down here at ADP 126, and he's the 9th overall third baseman going off the board. I guess I'm not too low on him because I have him at number 8. 32 years old. Last season, he underperformed a lot. He had a batting average of 196 with a expected batting average of 208. Very, very bad. Slug was 384. Exit velocity was actually good, 90.3. It's pretty similar to his whole career. Let's see what Jasper said. My thought was sliding into one earlier than normal. So jamming your fingers. Yeah, I guess I could see that, because it is a 6-inch difference between first base and second base. Is it 6? I think it's 5.5, something like that. But yeah, that's highly possible. I feel like spring training is going to be a good adjustment period for these guys to kind of like feel it out, especially the guys that steal a lot of bases. We'll see, man. It's definitely highly possible. I definitely rather see a guy with a jam finger and be out, 1 or 2 days, versus a guy that gets a leg injury that's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So highly possible. That's actually a pretty good analysis. I haven't thought of that one. So going back to Max Muncy, Muncy was severely injured at the end of the 2021 season with really bad damage to his UCL. There was talk about him possibly getting surgery, but he actually worked around it. He was just in the gym and, working on it with personal trainers and physical therapy. So he came back in 2021, started the season, or sorry, 2022, started the season. And he just wasn't the same old Max Muncy that we as Dodger fans, we grew to love. It was really hard for him. He came back as a DH, and he also played a lot of third base, but the bat just wasn't there. I think he ended the season, let's see, with a 196 batting average. His expected batting average was 208, so he underperformed a little bit, but he wasn't the Max Muncy that we all knew. On base percentage was actually really good compared to his batting average. 329 OBP compared to his 196 batting average. He walks a ton, 90 walks last year. And I want to say Max Muncy is actually one of the best at plate discipline in the league. 90 walks, that's kind of unheard of. 141 strikeouts. So that it's not that bad. I mean, it is really bad. 141 strikeouts and 565 plate appearances. His K rate was at 25, but that's a little more than what we're used to from Max Muncy. Usually he's closer to about 20, 21, which is still kind of high. But, this guy's going at a current ADP of 133. If I see this guy, what is that? 133 divided by 12, because most teams are 12. Let's say close to like the 10th round, 10th, 11th round. I'm definitely grabbing Max Muncy. He's eligible at second base and third base. Both of those positions are kind of a drag this year. He struggled a lot in the first half of the 2022 season, but if you go back to August. So from August 1st to the end of the season, Muncy batted 247 with a 358 OBP and 500 slug. So that's actually closer to his career numbers. So as the season was coming to an end, he actually started to look like the old Max Muncy that we're used to seeing. So I don't see any reason why Max Muncy wouldn't come into this season as the old Max Muncy that we've seen for previous seasons. I actually had watched an interview with him. He says, "My body feels good as it ever has. I feel strong. I feel healthy. My swing feels good." So I really want to trust that. I think I trust it more than the experts out there. I think he's good for about 90 runs, 100 RBI, and close to 35 home runs. He only had 21 home runs last season, but I believe he had 7 home runs in the last 2 months of the season. So, the last 2 months of the season, 7, it's a little bit down from what we're used to seeing from him, but I don't think, 35 is out of the question. I think 30 to 35 would actually be right in line with what we've seen from him in the past. And as I said before, 90 walks. So he's definitely more valuable in a points league, getting on base that often rather than a categories league. But he's still very valuable in a categories league because he's hitting in the middle of the Dodgers lineup with amazing talent in front and in back of him. So I'm definitely high on Max Muncy, and I have him as my bounce back candidate this year. Moving on to number 9, we have the rookie Gunnar Henderson. His current ADP is 88, so he's actually way up there. Is that right? Yeah, 88. Wow, can't believe everyone's so high on this guy. Now I get it because the prospect pedigree and everything, but last year he only had 132 plate appearances, 4 home runs, 12 runs, 18 RBI, 1 stolen base, 16 walks, 34 strikeouts, a 259 batting average. His expected was 250, but with only 132 plate appearances, it's really kind of hard to judge if that's actually what we're going to see for this next season. He's not in the best lineup, plays for the Orioles, but he is a really big dude, 6'3", 220. So the potential's definitely there. I have his projections from MLB Pipeline, I believe it was. They're projecting 20 home runs with 70 runs and 75 stolen bases. Yeah, right. 70 runs and 75 RBI. This guy strikes out a ton as well. He has a 25.8% strikeout rate. You definitely don't want to see that. I don't really see a lot of home run potential. I don't know where they're getting this 20 home runs projection for him. His launch angle is only at a 2, so he hits a lot of line drives, that are barely making it off the ground. Hits the ball on the ground a lot. Doesn't really hit the ball in the air too often. He is the number 1 prospect, so he's definitely going to be starting for the Orioles on opening day. He hits the ball to all fields, so that's probably going to be like the highlight of him in 2023. A decent amount of base hits because he can hit it, basically everywhere. He doesn't hit the ball in the air, so don't really count on him for too many counting stats. Since he does hit the ball to all fields, there's probably a lot of run potential. I don't really see a lot of RBI potential. Possibly he can get up to like 80 if everything goes right for him, but I really wouldn't expect it. So the only reason why Gunnar Henderson is actually at the number 9 spot for me is just because everyone going after him is just really bad, really crappy. I don't want to get stuck with Gunnar Henderson as my starting third baseman, or any of these guys actually that are after Max Muncy. Moving on to number 10, we have Matt Chapman. Now, this is a name that we haven't really talked about too much in the previous seasons because of the hip injury. And, the biggest thing of his career so far was moving over to Toronto. We thought that maybe him being in a better lineup would help him kind of get out of his funk after his hip surgery. He had season-ending surgery in 2020. He had a really bad 2021, traded to the Blue Jays in the 2021 offseason, and he had a really rough 2022 as well. Excuse me. 229 batting average with an expected BA of 234, so it's right in line. OPS at 757. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like an OPS of 757, and this guy is the number 10 at third base. When you had earlier, we were talking about Bobby Witt, and what's up, Tony? Will with the top 3B picks. Thanks for joining the show, man. So what was I saying? He's hitting in the middle of a great lineup in the Blue Jays. So lots of RBI opportunities. I think the biggest thing about Matt Chapman, which is why I have him at my number 10. So let me just say this real quick, that Matt Chapman and the next 2 guys on my list, which are Ty France, Jose Miranda, and we can actually add Eugenio Suarez to that, is Matt Chapman's a free agent after this season. And I'm a big believer that players that are coming up on free agency overperform very often. The first time that I saw that I actually noticed it was Eric Hosmer. In when 2015, when the Royals won the World Series, Eric Hosmer just had this crazy season. I believe he got a 7-year deal with the Padres in the offseason after that. And, everyone thought that he was going to be starting first baseman for the Padres, hitting home runs and good batting average. But honestly, we saw him just kind of shit the bed, and he just wasn't the guy that everyone thought he was going to be. Even though he was in the Padres lineup, Padres actually weren't that good back then. He was barely fantasy relevant. I still don't see. That's first base. So we already talked about first base. We don't need to talk about him anymore. So Matt Chapman. So I was saying that he coming into free agency after this season. Tony says Hosmer was terrible. Yes, he was, and he still is, which is why the Padres let him go. He does have a lot of home run potential. Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman still does have a lot of home run potential. Hits the ball exceptionally hard. His average exit velocity is 92.2. Like I said, anything over 90 is really good. So we should see a decent amount of home runs from him. Last season, he hit 27 home runs, 83 runs scored, and 76 RBI. So I can see something very similar to that, especially hitting in a good lineup now that he's out of Oakland and he's in Toronto. Doesn't have a lot of speed, but he does walk a lot. Had 68 walks last season, but he struck out a ton. 170 strikeouts with a lot of power to go with it. But honestly, if Matt Chapman wants to move up in the ranks and wants to get paid, like we've seen in the past with guys, let's see. Ernie Naranjo says, I saw this with Adrian Beltre in his last year with the Dodgers and went on to get paid. Very true, man. We see this all the time where these guys are just, when they're in that contract year, this is why I'm so low on Aaron Judge. It's because this past season was a contract year for him, and he was the best player in baseball, and I get it. He is an exceptional baseball player, but I don't see Aaron Judge as the number one overall player in the league. I don't understand why he's going number one after just one season of being the best player in baseball. It's not like it was like Mike Trout like a few years ago where he played the same every single year. I believe Aaron Judge's rookie season and then his final season before free agency were the only two seasons that he actually played majority of the games. This guy's constantly getting hurt. I don't know. Maybe he just simplified things. And I did hear him say that he just started trying to just put more wood on the ball and not trying to hit the ball out of the park every time. It just kind of like let his size and his body take over and hit the ball hard. And that's exactly what he did. So hopefully the Yankees can keep him healthy. But, that's on our outfield preview. So if you guys want to watch that, I believe we did that about 3 weeks ago. So going back to Matt Chapman, K rate of 27.4. I really think that if Matt Chapman can just get his strikeouts down, I think that we can see like some shines of what Matt Chapman used to be. Matt Olson did it. Matt Olson, his former teammate on the A's, moved over to the Braves, cut his strikeout rate close to in half in the 2021 season, and he was amazing. Last year, his strikeout rate went a little bit up, but that's just how things are in baseball. And I really think that Matt Chapman can go back to where he was. He's about 3 seasons past his hip surgery, so I'm really hoping that at 29 years old, he's been able to recover. He's 100%, and coming into this year, really wanting to put in some work and be the guy that we used to see. He's in those man strength years, 29 years old. So This is actually my sleeper, Matt Chapman at ADP 146. So another guy that I'm kind of targeting as a backup option, just in case I don't get one of the other third basemen that I'm targeting. Um, so yeah, that's it for Matt Chapman. Let's move on to number 11. So number 11 and number 12 are kind of hard for me. Um, it was a toss up between the two. But originally, I had Ty France as my number 11, and then I think I just came to my senses, and I actually have Jose Miranda at my number 11. So Jose Miranda is actually a first baseman, but he's eligible at third base also. Uh, let's see. And Tony says he's a great pickup at his ADP, especially if he cuts the strikeouts. I'm assuming you're talking about Matt Chapman. So yeah, once in a while, Tony and I agree on something. It seems to be like this is one of those things. Jose Miranda last season was his rookie season. He's 24 years old. When I see this guy on TV, he really sorry about that. I drink my water out of my Dodger cup. All right, so Tony is saying France over Miranda. I don't know, man. We've seen Ty France for about 4 seasons now. He's 28 years old, and I don't really see him progressing at all. I'll talk about him after I talk about Jose Miranda. So Jose Miranda is 6'2", 210 pounds, in a good lineup with the Twins. Twins just re-signed Carlos Correa, so depending on where Jose Miranda bats in the lineup, good run opportunities, good RBI opportunities. Last season, he batted 268 with an expected batting average of 253, so very close. On-base percentage was 325. He had 28 walks. Very, very bad. Very bad. I want to see that number increase. Let's try to get at least 40 next season. Doesn't really strike out a lot, though. In 483 plate appearances, he had 91 strikeouts. So I think with this next season coming up, if he can play the whole season, he should have about 620 or more plate appearances and maybe about 105 strikeouts. So that's pretty decent, especially in a points league. You want to see that. Only scored 45 runs and 66 RBI with 15 home runs last season. But he's very young, 24 years old. I think that he actually does have some potential. There's 3 names going within 10 picks of each other. Ty France at 153 that Tony's talking about. Eugenio Suarez at 160, and then Jose Miranda at 163. And out of these 3, I think Jose Miranda is my favorite. He's the youngest. He has the most upside out of these 3. I don't think I would want any of these guys as my starting third baseman, but there's not really a lot left out there this late in the draft. Jose Miranda is currently going 162, 163. So he's definitely one of the last picks of your draft if you're playing in a 10-team or 12-team league. In 2021, he hit 30 home runs, so the power potential is there. I believe that was the last season of the juice ball era, so I don't think we're going to see anything close to 30, but 20 home runs is possible. He hit 15 last year, so if he can get up to 600 plate appearances, which is about 115 more than he did last year, then I could definitely see him hitting 20 to 25 home runs. Hopefully scoring more and getting some more RBI opportunities. Let's see. He hits the ball somewhat hard, 89 miles per hour, 89.3. So you want to see that over 90 miles an hour, but 89.3 is right there. He's like I said, he's still really young, so he still has some opportunity to increase his strength and start to hit the ball harder in the future. I just think that, in the end, Jose Miranda is a more exciting option than Ty France and Suarez. So moving on, at my number 12 is Ty France. Ty France is eligible at first and third base. He's 28 years old, which really threw me off. I thought he was a lot younger than that. Rookie season was in 2019, so he was 24 years old in his rookie season. ADP is currently at 146. So, no, actually, it's gone up since then. It's at 153. So his batting average last season was 274. He overperformed a little bit. Expected batting average was at 262. OPS at 774. That at this point in the draft, you're kind of taking whatever you can get. Hopefully, you're not without a third baseman at this point. But I think Ty France is a decent option if you need a corner infielder. Just hopefully he's not going to be your starting third baseman. Last season, he had 613 plate appearances with 20 home runs. I think we can kind of see the same type of production from Ty France that we saw last year, which is about 20 home runs, 70 to 80 runs in RBI. Had 48 extra base hits last season, so it's not bad. 0 stolen bases. Even with the bigger bases this year, I don't think we're going to see any stolen bases from Ty France. I believe he's in like the 8th percentile when it comes to sprint speed, so I wouldn't count on it. Had 35 walks last year with 94 strikeouts. The strikeouts are definitely a standout for me. Under 100 strikeouts is really good. I just want to see those walk numbers get up a little bit. So in a points league, he's actually pretty decent since he doesn't strike out that often. I just when it comes to Ty France, there's nothing exciting about this guy. He's not going to hurt you, but he's not really going to help you. Hopefully, by this time you'll have a third base that's better than him. And that's basically it for the third base preview. I believe I gave you my sleeper and my breakout. Who was my bust? Oh, okay. So my bust, which I kind of already talked about, was Bobby Witt. And that's mainly because I think it's just too soon for him to be going 4th overall at third base. Let's see what Tony says. How far down are you willing to go at third base? By what round should we secure a third baseman? Honestly, if you really want a solid third baseman, you're going to have to get him early. It's 1st round or 2nd round. So if you have a top 3 pick, I'm going Jose Ramirez. In the 1st round, if you're 10 through 12, I would definitely go either Manny Machado or Rafael Devers. Austin Riley, he's a little bit later than Jose. I mean, sorry, let me get back to my original notes. Okay. Austin Riley's going a little bit after Rafael Devers. They're actually going back to back. So Rafael Devers is at 22 and Austin Riley's at 23. I think that after Austin Riley, you're kind of getting like the leftovers, which, Arenado, I guess he's not really like a leftover. Arenado is potentially could be the same guy that we've seen last year and, in previous seasons. I honestly don't think that Bobby Witt is going to be anything crazy good that, a lot of people are expecting from him. But, like I said, he's only 22 years old. ADP at 16. That's just way too early for me. There's no way I'm drafting this guy in the 2nd round. I would definitely wait until like the 4th or 5th round. So yeah, that's the end of the show. If you guys have any more questions, my email or our email is realtalkbaseball@yahoo.com. And if you go to our Instagram page, I also answer the messages on there. You can look for us, Real Talk Baseball on Instagram. Let's see. Should I panic if I don't have a third baseman by the 4th or 5th round? I think that if you don't have your third baseman by the 4th or 5th round, you might as well just wait until the end and kind of go for a solid veteran that we've seen in the past, a guy like Evan Longoria or Justin Turner. a guy that could potentially have like a bounce back season because both of those guys are on new teams this year. Evan Longoria, I believe he signed with the Padres. No, not with the Padres. I don't remember who he signed with, but either way, Evan Longoria, Justin Turner, don't get stuck with guys like Eugenio Suarez that really just has no high ceiling. His floor is extremely low. His ceiling is extremely low. I honestly think that if you can wait on third base, if you don't have one by the fourth or fifth round, go from one of those veterans, but also kind of pair him with a younger guy coming up. Go to top prospects. The 100 top prospects in baseball. Look what third basemen are potentially coming up, and pair him with one of those veterans that you can get in the later rounds. Thanks for joining the show. Thanks, Jasper. Thanks, Tony, for the comments. I appreciate you guys. And looks like we're at 50 minutes, so right under an hour, which is where I like to be. Next week, I'll be talking about shortstops. Hopefully, I'll have Carlos and Javi with me. If not, I'll be here. I'm going to try to make this more consistent thing, for us. I want to be here for the viewers and listeners. And like I said, if you have any questions, hit up our email or Instagram. This is Willpower signing out. Thank you, guys.